as a brand was founded in 1887. Probably one of the oldest cigar brands in the world.
Mm.
It started in Goa, and they started out selling cigars to the British Army.
Mm.
They named the brand Gurkha after the Nepalese Gurkhas, because the Nepalese Gurkhas in the 1800s and still today were the British Army's favourite army regiment. It was named after the British Army's favourite regiment, so that it would resonate with the British Army when they were selling it. And the company remained an Indian company until 1989, on its 102nd birthday.
Right.
Where in 1989 the company was shutting down. So the current owner is a Parsi named Kaizad Hansotia. And he is based in Florida in the US, and he was on holiday in Goa in 1989 when he bought the company, because it was shutting down, right? So he bought all of the cigars that they had in stock, and he bought the brand of the company, I mean, for a paltry amount of, I don't know, like $150 or something. And then at that point, it was a low-end Indian brand cigars.
Okay.
And he took the brand back to America. It's now the most expensive cigar in the world.
Yeah.
We have the highest rated cigar in the world, and it's considered to be the Rolls Royce of cigars.
So how Gurkha created its unique position? How did it reimagine the entire category?
What Kaizad did before he entered into the cigar market, he did a detailed analysis of the market, and whilst cigars are considered to be a luxury product, his assessment of the market was that there was no luxury segment or luxury brand in the luxury market. Many cigar manufacturers, they'll basically now sell cigars in a very thin plywood box. So from a packaging perspective, a thin, cheap plywood box does not indicate luxury. When Kaizad first entered into the market, you look at how cigars were manufactured, for example. Many cigar manufacturers, they'd have tobacco field behind the factory, which makes a lot of sense from an operational perspective.
Right.
Grow the tobacco, put it into the factory. The problem with that approach is that cigars are about taste. Cigars are about flavour. That's all they're about. You don't inhale cigar smoke.
Yeah.
So it's only about taste. It's only about flavour. And the problem is that tobacco is like wine or whiskey. Okay? So French wine tastes different to Chilean wine or Australian wine or South African wine. So wherever you grow the product, in the grapes, the soil is different, the seed is different, sunshine is different, the climate is different. So therefore, the wine tastes different.
Yeah.
In tobacco, it's exactly the same, right? So,
right.
Tobacco from the Dominican Republic is sweet. Tobacco from Nicaragua is spicy. Tobacco from Honduras, for example, is peppery. Okay? So if you get all of your tobacco from one location, then you only get one flavor. So you want to get complex flavors into a cigar. You necessarily have to get tobacco. So in your average cigar, like this cigar, you get 5 tobacco leaves in a cigar. So effectively, you have 5 opportunities to put flavor into that cigar. If you take all of the leaves from the same location, then you've got 5 times 1 flavor. So if I want to get complex flavors into the cigar, then necessarily I have to take 1 leaf from Honduras, or 1 from Nicaragua, and 1 from the Republic, and 1 from Brazil, and 1 from Ecuador, or 1 from Mexico, and then all of those leaves will inherently have flavor profile. So when I put those flavors together, then I get a much more complex flavor in the cigar. And historically, this was not done.
Yeah, and Danny, like you were sharing earlier, that different parts of the tongue and the mouth respond differently, whether it's bitter or spicy or sweet.
So if you smoke a cigar that is made with young tobacco, then often it will taste a little bit harsh and a little bit bitter.
Right.
Okay? Which you taste on the top of your tongue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, if you smoke a cigar that's from the Dominican Republic,
right,
then that tobacco will be sweet. And what you do is you'll taste that like down the sides of your tongue.
Yeah.
Salty in the front of your tongue. You imagine, right? So when Kaizad started, most cigar companies would have their preferred destination for manufacturing, for sourcing their tobacco from. So most companies would have, one or maximum two flavors of cigars. Now, Gurkha has over in excess of 125 different flavors of cigars.
Yeah. And like you said, it took an Indian Parsi to see the opportunity. Then when it comes to flavor, why just have one spice? Let's make a curry. 125 opportunities.
But cigars are all about flavor. So how do you get the best flavors in a cigar? So blending is one option. Aging is another option. Okay? Again, pre-market assessment, there were very few companies that were aging tobacco, and aging tobacco is like aging a wine or a whiskey. Take a young wine, when it's young, it doesn't have body, it doesn't have complexity. Sometimes it can be a little bit harsh, a little bit bitter. You take that same bottle of wine or that same bottle of whiskey, and you age that for 10 years or 15 years, and it becomes smooth, full-bodied, complex in its flavors. The same happens with tobacco. Okay, so I'll show you this cigar, which is actually the highest rated cigar in the world, which is rated 99. This tobacco is aged for 15 years. This is the 15-year cellar reserve.
Right.
If you look at, you mentioned Cuba at the beginning. Now, the problem is that Cuba is a communist country, and they still follow the same practices for rolling cigars as they did 100 years ago. Okay? Now, in the last 100 years, the hand rolling and the manufacturing process of cigars has evolved tremendously. And one example is that one problem you can have with a cigar is hand rolled. Okay, so you imagine your kids playing with like Play-Doh or plasticine, right? So unless it's two hands are rolled at exactly the same speed, you get plasticine or Play-Doh. It's not rolled at the same speed, and what happens is it knocks in the center because one hand is moving faster than the other. Okay? Now, if there's a knot, basically, one, it'll come right in the center of the cigar, and number two, it stops the cigar smoke coming down the cigar. The problem is that Cuba, in most other places, they do what's called draw testing, where they put it into a suction device and they'll suck air down the cigar to make sure the air is flowing through the leaves. And this is done at multiple points in the manufacturing process. Now, in Cuba, they don't do that, right? So if I buy a box of Cuban cigars, invariably, a number of cigars I will not be able to smoke because they'll have a big knot in the center. So the disadvantage of being a communist country is that it's not progressed in terms of its technology and what it does. So the production of the cigar is another major factor. You never, ever smoke a Gurkha cigar that doesn't have a perfect draw.
I guess that is what, like, at every step, such a lot of care is going through making it that people can experience the difference. And that's why people who have been smoking cigars, you can quickly make out that a Gurkha cigar is much better than a Cuban cigar.